I remember the day the river gave him to me. It had rained all night, one of those heavy village rains that beats against the earth like a warning from the gods. By morning, the soil was soft, the air smelled of wet leaves, and the river behind our compound had swollen beyond its banks. That was where I found him, face down, still, half buried in mud and tangled roots. At first, I thought he was dead, but something in me refused to walk away. I dragged him out with trembling hands, my wrapper soaked, my heart pounding like the Igbo drums during festivals. He was very heavy, too heavy for a girl like me, but fear gives strength where there is none. When I turned him over, his face, Chimo, he was beautiful. Not the kind of beauty you see every day in the village. There was something unfamiliar about him. His skin glowed like polished wood, his jaw sharp, his lips slightly parted as though he was about to speak but had forgotten how. And then I noticed the wound. Blood had dried along his temple. Please, I whispered, though I did not know who I was speaking to. Don't die here. I hid him. Yes, I, a Daisy, daughter of a respected man, hid a stranger in my father's barn. If my father had known, he would have chased him away, or worse, because in our land, strangers were not taken lightly. Spirits sometimes walked in human form. Enemies wore familiar faces. But something in me said it was neither of them. For 3 days, 3 whole days, he lay between life and death. I cleaned his wound, fed him watery pap, prayed over him in the quiet hours when even the crickets grew tired. On the fourth day, he opened his eyes, dark, confused, empty. Who, who, who am I? He asked. And just like that, my life changed. He remembered nothing, not his name, not his home, not even how he came to the river. He was like a child in a man's body, learning the word again, step by step. I named him Obinna, Father's Heart, because I had no other name to give him. At first, I told myself I was only helping him, teaching him how to speak again, how to greet elders, how to eat with his hands without spilling everything. But love does not ask for permission. It just sneaks in the way he watched me like I was the only thing that made sense in his broken world, in the way he laughed, soft at first, then full, like he had found something he thought he lost forever, in the way he said my name, Adaeze, as if it meant home. We had our own little world, hidden behind the barn, beneath the udala tree, by the river that had almost taken him. I showed him how to fetch water. He tried to teach me how to skip stones, but failed terribly and blamed the river for cheating. We shared roasted corn, laughter, silence, and sometimes we just sat together doing nothing and feeling everything. The day he touched my hand for the first time, I forgot how to breathe. Why does my chest feel like this when I'm with you? He asked, his brows drawn in confusion. I should have stepped away. I should have remembered who I was, what the village would say, what my father would do. But instead, I smiled. That, I told him softly, It's something you don't need to remember, you just feel it. And then I made the biggest mistake that would break me. I let him love me. We became inseparable. He would wait for me every evening. If I was late, he would pace like a restless spirit. If I smiled, he smiled. If I was quiet, he searched my face like he was afraid I would disappear. Maybe a part of him already knew, because love like ours never stays. The first sign came in a dream. My mother, who had been dead for years, stood by the river, her face lined with worry. "You are holding what is not yours," she said. "I love him," I replied, "and that is why you must let him go." I woke up crying. The next day, men came into the village, strangers, wealthy, well dressed, desperate. They were looking for someone, a man lost from a faraway place. I knew before they even described him. The scar on his temple, the height, the eyes, my Obinna was not mine. I didn't tell him immediately. How could I? How do you look into the eyes of the man who learns to love you from nothing and tell him he belongs to another world? So I waited. 1 day, 2 days, three, until the day they found him. It happened so fast. They called out a name, not Obinna, a name that sounded heavier, richer, like it carried a life I had never seen. And something in him shifted. He froze. His face twisted in pain, and then memories came rushing back. He looked at me like I was a stranger. "Who are you?" he asked. And just like that, I disappeared from his world. I didn't stay to watch them take him. I didn't stay to hear explanations. I didn't even stay for goodbye, because I knew the man I loved no longer existed. So I did the only thing I could. I vanished first. Years passed. The village moved on, but I didn't, because no matter how far I went, a part of me remained by that river, holding onto a love that no longer remembered me. And then he came back, not broken, not lost, and not mine. The whole village gathered, drums, dancing, celebration. A great man had returned, wealthy, powerful, honored, and beside him was his bride to be. Beautiful and elegant, everything I could never be in his new world. I stood at the edge of the crowd, hidden beneath my scarf, watching, waiting, and breaking. He laughed, the same laugh, smiled, the same smile. And when his eyes passed over me, there was nothing, no flicker, no memory, no love. And in that moment, I understood something cruel. Love is not always meant to be remembered. Sometimes it is only meant to be felt once and lost forever. But then, as they walked past me, his hand suddenly shifted, just for a second. His brows furrowed, and he turned, though not fully, not enough, but just enough to whisper, "Adaeze." I stopped breathing. My heart didn't just beat, it shattered. For a moment, the world stood still. The drums faded, the laughter dulled. Even the wind seemed to hold his breath. He knew my name. After everything, he knew my name. I stepped back instinctively, my fingers clutching the edge of my wrapper as if it could hold me together. No, no, this was not how it's supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to remember. His bride noticed. Is everything okay? She asked, a voice soft but curious, her hands tightening slightly around his arm. He didn't answer her immediately. His eyes were searching, searching the crowd, searching for me. I I thought I heard something, he said finally, though his voice lacked conviction. But his gaze lingered on me, even though I had a scarf. He was gazing at me, even through the scarf, even through the distance, like something deep inside him was fighting to rise. Panic gripped me, if you remembered. If even a piece of it came back, everything would collapse. His life, his future, his engagement, and I had no place in any of it. So I did what I had done years ago. I turned and walked away. But this time he followed. A daisy, this time louder, certain. The name cut through the crowd like a blade. People turned, faces shifted. Whispers began. I didn't stop. I couldn't. Not until his hand caught my wrist. The moment it touched me, everything changed. A sharp breath escaped him, like someone drowning who had just broken the surface. His grip tightened, not painfully but desperately. Wait, he whispered. I closed my eyes because I knew what was happening. Memories don't always return gently. Sometimes they crash. I know you, he said, his voice shaking now. I don't know how, but I know you. Slowly, I opened my eyes and looked straight into his eyes. It's just enough for him to see my face fully and clearly. And then it hit him. His knees almost gave way. The color drained from his face, and his hand trembled against mine as though he had touched fire. The river, he breathed. Tears filled his eyes. The barn, the corn, you. Every word was a fragment, and each fragment was a piece of us. I said nothing because there was actually nothing left to say. Behind him, the celebration had begun to quiet. People were watching now. His bride stood frozen. Confusion itched across her face. Who is she? She asked, a voice no longer soft. He didn't answer because he couldn't, because the truth had finally found him. I remember, he whispered more to himself than to anyone else. And then he looked at me, not like a stranger, not like a man searching anymore, but like the man I once knew. The man who had loved me when he had nothing. A daisy, he said again. My name now heavy with everything we had lost. Tears slid down my cheeks, but I forced a small broken smile. You remember now, I said softly. It wasn't a question. His jaw tightened. Yes. Silence fell between us. Not empty, but full, too full. His bride stepped closer now, her eyes moving between us, understanding beginning to drown. And with it, hurt. You know her? She asked. He hesitated, and in that hesitation, everything was decided. Because love is not just about feeling, it is about choice. I, he started, then stopped. His hand slowly slipped from mine, and in that moment, I understood, not because he said the words, but because he didn't. I nodded, a small, almost invisible movement. It's okay, I said, even though it wasn't. It was a long time ago. His eyes searched mine, desperate, conflicted, breaking. But I had already made the choice for both of us. The same way I had done years ago. You have a life now, I continued gently. A name, a future. I glanced briefly at the woman beside him. She is part of that. He swallowed hard. And you? He asked. I smiled again, this time stronger. I was never meant to be. The words hurt more than anything I had ever said in my entire life. But they were true. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The world waited. The village watched. Even the wind seemed to listen. Then slowly he turned back to her. It wasn't dramatic. There was no loud declaration, no grand gesture, just a quiet, painful decision. And somehow that hurt the most. The drums began again, softly at first, then louder. Life, moving on as it always does. I stepped back into the crowd. This time, no one noticed. No one called my name. No one stopped me. And as I walked away, I didn't look back because I knew if I did, I might never leave. But just before I disappeared completely, I heard it. Faint, almost carried away by the wind. A daisy. I paused just for a second, closed my eyes like the sound settled in my chest one last time. Then I kept walking. Some loves are not meant to stay. Some stories are not meant to be finished. But ours was never forgotten. It simply learned how to let go. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos.